The transport ship shook as it entered the docking bay of Station 7, sat still in her seat while other passengers grabbed the armrests and made sounds of fear. She had felt worse turbulence during training missions back on Earth. This was nothing. The door opened with a hiss. Cold air rushed in, carrying the smell of metal and recycled oxygen, stood up slowly and grabbed her single bag. She owned very little. A soldier did not need much. Around her, beings of all shapes and sizes pushed toward the exit. She saw tall creatures with blue skin and 3 eyes, short ones covered in brown fur. Some had wings folded against their backs. Others walked on 4 legs or 6. The galaxy was full of strange life, and today she would live among them. Stepped onto the station floor and looked around. The ceiling was so high she could barely see it. Lights floated in the air without any wires holding them. Thousands of beings walked in every direction, speaking languages she did not understand. Signs flashed in scripts that looked like art to her human eyes. A young man appeared beside her. He was human like her, with kind eyes and messy black hair. His name was, and he had been on the same transport from Earth. "Big place," he said quietly. Nodded yes. "You nervous?" She thought about the question. No. Smiled a little. "I am, very nervous. I heard the Galactic Military Academy only accepts 1% of those who apply. We are lucky to be here." Did not believe in luck. She believed in preparation, training, and patience. But she did not say this. She simply walked forward, following the signs that pointed toward the Academy Intake Center. The intake center was a large white room filled with machines and officers in gray uniforms. New cadets stood in long lines, waiting to be processed. Took her place and waited. She was good at waiting. When her turn came, she stepped up to the scanning platform. A tall machine shaped like a doorway stood before her. Blue light moved up and down her body, reading everything about her. Her height, her weight, her bone density, her muscle composition, her species. The machine beeped. A holographic display appeared in the air, showing her information for everyone to see. Name: species human. Planet of origin: Earth. Classification: Earthborn. Status: caution recommended. An officer behind the desk looked at the display, then looked at her. He was massive, nearly 7 feet tall, covered in dark green scales. His yellow eyes showed no warmth. "Earthborn," he said, like the word tasted bad in his mouth. "Yes," said. Behind her she heard laughter. A group of cadets from different species were watching the display. One of them, a Tellurian female with 4 arms and pale purple skin, spoke loudly enough for everyone to hear. A human. They let humans into the academy now. The Tellurian's name was, though would not learn this until later. What will she do? Bleed on the enemy until they surrender? More laughter followed. Did not turn around. She did not react at all. She simply waited for the officer to finish processing her. The officer handed her a data tablet. "You are assigned to Dormitory Block 7. Training begins tomorrow at dawn. Do not be late." "I will not be late," said. She walked away from the scanning platform. Caught up to her a few minutes later, his own processing complete. "I heard what that Tellurian said," he whispered. "Are you okay?" "Yes." "You did not seem angry." "I was not angry." Looked confused. "But she insulted you. She insulted all humans." Stopped walking. She turned to face, and for a moment he saw something in her eyes that made him feel very small. Then it was gone, replaced by her usual calm expression. "Words are just sounds," she said. "They only have power if you give them power. I choose not to." They found Dormitory Block 7 after 20 minutes of walking through endless hallways. The room was simple. 2 beds, 2 desks, 1 window showing the stars outside. Set her bag on one bed and began unpacking. Sat on the other bed and watched her. "Can I ask you something?" "Yes." What did you do on Earth before you came here? Placed a folded uniform into a drawer. Many things. That is not really an answer. No, she agreed, it is not. Sighed but did not push further. He was a medic, trained to help and heal. He recognized when someone did not want to talk about their past. Whatever had done on Earth, it had left marks, not on her body but somewhere deeper. The next morning woke 1 hour before dawn. She dressed in silence, did stretching exercises in the small space between her bed and the wall, and then sat quietly until it was time to leave. The training hall was enormous. Hundreds of cadets stood in rows, sorted by species and size. Found herself in the back with the other humans. There were only 12 of them among the hundreds of recruits. A door at the front of the hall opened. Instructor entered. He was like the officer from the intake center, but larger. His scales were darker, almost black, and his body was covered in scars from countless battles. He moved like a predator, each step precise and powerful. "Welcome to the Galactic Military Academy," he said. His voice was deep and cold. "Most of you will fail, some of you will quit. A few of you might die during training. This is normal. We do not make soldiers here, we make weapons." He walked slowly along the rows, looking at each cadet. When he reached the humans, he stopped. "Earthborn," he said, "your planet is classified as a death world. High gravity, extreme temperatures, dangerous predators. And yet your species is considered weak by galactic standards. Short lives, fragile bodies, slow healing." He looked directly at, "You will be placed in the remedial combat group. Basic instruction only." Nodded, "Yes, instructor." Seemed surprised by her easy acceptance. He had expected argument or anger. Instead, he saw nothing but calm patience. "Do you have nothing to say, Earthborn?" "No, instructor, I am here to learn." Stared at her for a long moment, then he moved on. Leaned close to, "Remedial group, that is insulting, you should have said something." Watched walk away. "I am not hiding," she said quietly. "I am waiting." Waiting for what? She did not answer, but somewhere deep inside her, in a place where she kept all the training and all the pain and all the things she had learned on Earth, she knew the answer. She was waiting for the right moment, and when it came, they would all remember. 3 weeks passed at the academy, attended every class, completed every exercise, and spoke very little. The other cadets forgot about her. She was just another human in the remedial group, struggling to keep up with species that were faster, stronger, and more naturally suited for combat. Or so they thought. Watched her during training sessions. He noticed things that others did not. When the instructor demonstrated a fighting technique, his eyes followed every movement with perfect focus. When other cadets practiced, she observed them too, studying their patterns and weaknesses. She was learning, but not in the way anyone expected. "You are holding back," said one evening in their dormitory. Was doing push-ups on the floor, she did not stop. "What do you mean?" "In training today, you let that cadet beat you in the sparring match, but I saw your feet. You had 3 chances to take him down. You did not take any of them." Finished her set and stood up. She was not breathing hard. "You are observant." "I am a medic, I notice bodies, and your body moves differently than everyone thinks." He sat on his bed and looked at her seriously. "Who are you really?" She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Someone who learned that the best weapon is patience." She did not explain further. The next day, all cadets were called to the Combat Theory Hall. This was a large lecture room with seats rising up in circles around a central stage. 200 cadets filled the seats. Instructor stood in the middle, his dark scales shining under the bright lights. "Today we discuss reaction time," announced. His voice echoed through the hall. "This is the most important factor in combat. The speed at which you see a threat and respond to it determines whether you live or die." He pressed a button on his wrist device. A holographic display appeared behind him, showing charts and numbers. Most species in the galaxy have a reaction time between zero point 0.3 and 0.7 seconds. This is the time from when your eyes see danger to when your body begins to move. Warriors average 0.25 seconds. Tellurians average 0.28 seconds. Humans. He paused and smiled in a way that was not friendly. Humans average 0.4 seconds, among the slowest of all intelligent species. Laughter came from various parts of the hall. Sat in the back row, her face showing nothing. "Let me demonstrate," said. "I will select cadets at random. I will attack them without warning. We will see how they respond." He pointed at a large cadet with gray skin and tusks. "You, come down." The cadet walked to the center stage. He was nervous but tried not to show it. Circled him slowly, talking about body position and threat assessment. Then, mid-sentence, he attacked. His fist moved like lightning. The gray cadet did not even see it coming. He was on the ground before he knew what happened. 0.6 seconds, announced. "Too slow, you would be dead in real combat." He did this 4 more times with different cadets. A Tellurian lasted longest at 0.31 seconds, but still ended up on the floor. Each time, lectured about what went wrong. Each time, he emphasized how slow and weak humans were compared to other species. Then he looked up at the back row, his yellow eyes found. "You Earthborn, come down." The hall grew quiet. Cadets turned to look at her. Some were smiling, expecting entertainment. The Tellurian who had mocked her on the first day laughed openly. "This should be fun," said loudly. "Maybe she will cry." Stood up slowly. She walked down the steps without hurrying. Her face remained calm. Her breathing remained steady. She reached the center stage and stood before. The instructor towered over her. He was more than a foot taller and probably 3 times her weight. His arms were thick with muscle. His claws could cut through metal. "Do you know why I called you down here?" asked. "To make an example," said. "Correct. You are the weakest species in this room. Your file shows nothing impressive. Your scores are average at best. You are exactly what the galaxy thinks humans are, small, soft, and forgettable." He pulled up her file on the holographic display. Numbers and charts appeared for everyone to see. Her physical strength rating, her speed rating, her combat assessment scores, all of them were unremarkable. "Look at this," said to the hall. "This is what Earth sends us. This is the best humanity has to offer, a woman with the reaction time of a sleeping." The hall laughed again, did not react. Began circling her, just as he had with the other cadets. He talked about human biology, about how their muscles were weak and their bones were brittle. He talked about Earth being a death world, but said the humans who survived there were still inferior to proper warrior species. Stood perfectly still. She did not watch directly. Instead, her eyes seemed unfocused, looking at nothing. But watching from the seats knew better. He could see the tiny movements of her head tracking through her peripheral vision. She was not looking at nothing. She was looking at everything. Continued his lecture. He was behind now, still talking. His voice filled the hall with confident words about combat mathematics and threat assessment. Then, without any warning, he attacked. It was his signature move. A spinning kick aimed at the head, fast enough to knock out a warrior. He had used this technique 1,000 times. No cadet had ever blocked it. No cadet had ever even seen it coming. His leg cut through the air like a blade. And stopped. The hall went completely silent. Every cadet leaned forward, trying to understand what they were seeing. Had raised her left hand. Her fingers were wrapped around his ankle. She had caught his kick 6 inches from her temple. Her arm did not shake. Her body did not move. She held his leg in the air like it weighed nothing. His eyes went wide. He tried to pull back. He could not. Her grip was like iron. For 3 heartbeats, nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Then turned her head slowly and looked up at. Her dark eyes were calm and steady. There was no anger in them, no fear, just a quiet certainty that made the instructor feel something he had not felt in 40 years of training soldiers. He felt afraid. "And remember it," said softly. She released his ankle, stumbled backward, catching his balance. He stared at her like she was a ghost. On the wall behind them, the biometric scanner beeped. It had been monitoring her during the entire lecture. Now it was recalculating. The display flickered. New words appeared. Earthborn threat level, RECLCULATING. The hall remained silent. 200 cadets sat frozen in their seats. His mouth hung open, covered his face with his hands, trying not to laugh. Straightened his uniform. He looked at for a long moment. Then he looked at the silent hall. "Class dismissed," he said quietly. Walked back to her seat. She did not hurry. She did not celebrate. She sat down next to and folded her hands in her lap like nothing had happened. Around her, cadets whispered to each other. What did they just see? How did she do that? Was it a trick? Leaned close to her ear. The whole galaxy is going to hear about this by tomorrow. Nodded slightly. Good. Good, why good? She looked at him with eyes that had seen things he could not imagine. Because now they will stop underestimating Earth. And when they stop underestimating us, they will start respecting us. She stood up and walked toward the exit. Behind her, the scanner was still calculating. It would be working for a very long time. The message came that evening. A simple notification on his data tablet, report to Instructor's office. Immediately. Saw the message and looked worried. Are you in trouble? Put on her jacket. I do not think so. But you embarrassed him in front of everyone. Warriors are proud. They do not forget things like that. Neither do I, said. She walked out without another word. His office was on the upper level of the academy, in a section reserved for senior staff. The hallways here were quieter, the lights softer. Found the right door and knocked once. Enter, came the deep voice from inside. She stepped in. The office was simple but filled with weapons mounted on the walls. Swords, spears, guns from a dozen different planets. Each one had probably killed someone, maybe many someones. Sat behind a large desk made of dark metal. He did not stand when she entered. He simply watched her with those yellow eyes, studying her like she was a puzzle he could not solve. Sit, he said. Sat in the chair across from him. She kept her hands visible on her lap. This was not fear. This was respect for a predator. Was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was different than before. There was no mockery in it, no arrogance, just genuine confusion. How did you do it? Tilted her head slightly. Do what, Instructor? Do not play games with me, Earthborn. He leaned forward, his claws tapping on the desk. I have trained soldiers for 40 cycles. I have fought in 3 wars. That kick has never been blocked. It has never even been seen coming. And yet you caught it like I was moving through water. He pulled up her file on a screen. Numbers and charts filled the air between them. Your recorded reaction time is 0.4 seconds, standard human average. But what you did today required a response time of 0.08 seconds at most. That is faster than any species in the galactic database. His eyes narrowed. So either our scanners are broken or you are something else entirely. Which is it? Considered the question carefully. She could lie. She could make excuses. But she had spent 3 weeks watching this place, learning who could be trusted and who could not. Was many things, but he was not dishonest. He valued strength and skill above everything else. He deserved the truth. The scanners are not broken, she said, but they measure the wrong things. Explain. Took a slow breath. Earth is classified as a death world. Do you know what that means? High gravity, dangerous environment, difficult to survive. Yes, but that is only part of it. She looked at the weapons on his wall. Earth's gravity is 1 g, that is heavier than 73% of inhabited worlds in the galaxy. Every human grows up carrying more weight than most species ever experience. Our muscles, our bones, our hearts, they all develop under constant pressure. Nodded slowly. This is known, but it does not explain your speed. I am not finished. His voice remained calm and steady. Earth has over 8 million species of animals. Many of them are predators. For millions of years, humans were not the strongest creatures on our planet. We were not the fastest. We did not have claws or fangs or armor. We had soft skin and weak bodies. Then how did you survive? We watched, tapped the side of her head. Our brains learned to read other bodies, to see a predator's muscles tense before it jumped, to notice the way a snake's head moves before it strikes. We became experts at predicting what would happen next. She stood up slowly, tensed, but she only moved to look at the weapons on the wall. Your kick was very fast, she said, but your body told me it was coming. Your shoulder dropped 2 centimeters. Your hip rotated. Your weight shifted to your supporting leg. These are tiny movements, invisible to most species, but humans have been reading them for 100,000 years. She turned back to face him. I did not react to your kick, Instructor. I reacted to your intention to kick. By the time your leg moved, I already knew where it would be. Stared at her. Understanding slowly spread across his scaled face. You read me, he said. Yes. But the scanners should have detected this ability. The scanners measure physical reaction time, how fast the body moves after the eyes see something. They do not measure prediction. They do not measure pattern recognition. They do not measure the thing that kept humans alive when everything on our planet was trying to kill us. She sat back down in the chair. Humans are not fast, but we do not need to be. We see the future in the movements of the present. Was quiet for a long time. When he spoke again, his voice was thoughtful. You let yourself be mocked for 3 weeks. You let me put you in the remedial group. You let everyone believe you were weak. He leaned back in his chair. Why? Because I wanted to learn something. What? Looked at him with eyes that had seen too much for someone her age. I wanted to see who would be kind to me when they thought I was weak, who would help me carry my equipment, who would share their food with me, who would explain things I pretended not to understand. She paused, and I wanted to see who would laugh at me, who would mock me, who would enjoy my failure. You were testing us. I was learning who to trust. Felt a chill run down his spine. This small human woman had been studying them all from the beginning. Every interaction, every conversation, every moment of cruelty or kindness had been recorded and remembered. The ones who laughed, he said slowly, you remember their faces. Yes. And what will you do with that information? Stood up. Nothing bad, Instructor. I am not here for revenge. I am here to learn and to grow. But when I choose my allies in the future, when I build my team and select people to trust with my life, I will remember who showed their true nature when they thought no one important was watching. She walked toward the door, then stopped. One more thing, she said without turning around. You asked about my file, about what I did on Earth before coming here. Your file says you were a civilian, no military record. Smiled slightly. Earth's defense forces do not share all their records with the Galactic database. Some things are kept private. What are you saying? She turned to face him one last time. I am saying that I was not a student before I came here, Instructor. I was a teacher. I trained soldiers for 5 years. Combat, survival, threat assessment. Everything you teach here I taught on Earth. His eyes widened. Then why come here as a cadet? Because there is always more to learn. And because Earth wanted someone in this academy who could watch, listen, and report back what the galaxy really thinks of us. She opened the door. Good night, Instructor. I hope we can work together well in the future. She left. The door closed behind her with a soft click. Sat alone in his office for a very long time. He looked at the weapons on his walls, trophies from decades of combat against the most dangerous species in the galaxy. And for the first time, he wondered if he had ever truly faced anything as dangerous as a patient human, with nothing left to prove. News traveled fast in the academy. Within 2 days, everyone knew about the human who caught Instructor's kick. Stories grew and changed as they spread. Some said she had broken his leg. Others claimed she had thrown him across the room. A few whispered that humans had been hiding secret powers all along. Ignored all of it. She continued attending classes, completing exercises, and helping her fellow cadets when they struggled. She did not brag. She did not explain. She simply existed, calm and quiet as always. But not everyone was happy about her sudden fame. Found her in the dining hall one morning. The Tellurian pushed through the crowd and slammed her 4 hands on the table where was eating breakfast alone. "You think you are special now." Purple skin was darker than usual, a sign of anger in her species. One lucky moment and suddenly everyone forgets that humans are the weakest species in the galaxy. Took another bite of her food. "Good morning." "Do not good morning me, Earthborn." Leaned closer, her voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. "I do not know how you tricked. Maybe you used some human technology. Maybe you drugged him, but you do not fool me." "I did not try to fool anyone." "Then prove it." Straightened up, speaking loud enough for the entire hall to hear. "I challenge you to a formal duel in the Crucible, tomorrow night. Full combat rules." The dining hall went silent. Every cadet turned to watch. The Crucible was the Academy's official arena for formal challenges. Duels fought there were recorded and became part of a cadet's permanent record. Winning could make a career. Losing could end one. Push through the crowd and grab's arm. "Do not accept. Tellurians are born fighters. 4 arms, enhanced reflexes, and bone blades built into their wrists. She will destroy you." Smiled, showing teeth that were slightly sharper than human teeth. "Listen to your friend, little human. Go back to your remedial group where you belong." Finished chewing and set down her eating utensil. She looked up with calm, dark eyes. "What are the stakes?" she asked. Blinked, surprised that was even considering it. "If I win, you leave the academy, expelled. You go back to your death world and never return. And if I win?" "That will not happen." "But if it does?" Thought for a moment. A cruel smile spread across her face. "If you win, I will apologize publicly to every human cadet in this academy. I will admit that I was wrong about your species." Satisfied. Nodded once. "I accept." The hall exploded with noise. Cadets shouted and argued. Some started placing bets immediately, grabbed by both shoulders. "Are you insane? You cannot beat a Tellurian in direct combat. It is impossible." Stood up and collected her tray. "Nothing is impossible. Some things are just very difficult." She walked away, leaving chaos behind her. The next night, 3,000 beings filled the seats around the Crucible. The arena was a circular pit surrounded by energy shields that would stop any attack from reaching the audience. Inside, the floor was smooth metal, 20 meters across. Nowhere to hide, nowhere to run. Stood on one side, wearing simple training clothes. She had no weapons. The rules allowed combatants to use their natural abilities only. Stood on the other side, her 4 arms flexing and moving like separate creatures. Bone blades extended from her wrists, each one a foot long and sharp enough to cut through steel. Her purple skin seemed to glow under the arena lights. The betting boards showed the odds, 12-1 against the human. An announcer's voice boomed through the arena. "This is a formal challenge duel. Combat continues until one fighter surrenders, loses consciousness, or is unable to continue. Medical teams are standing by. Fighters, prepare yourselves." Took a slow breath. She cleared her mind of everything except the present moment. No past, no future, only now. Crouched into a fighting stance, all 4 arms raised and ready. I am going to enjoy this, human. Every species in the galaxy will see what happens when Earth forgets its place. Begin. Attacked immediately. She was fast, faster than anything had faced in training. Her 4 arms moved in perfect coordination, each one attacking from a different angle. Bone blades cut through the air in patterns that seemed impossible to predict. Moved. She did not try to block. She did not try to counter. She simply flowed around the attacks like water around stones. Each blade missed her by inches. Each strike found empty air where she had been a moment before. The crowd gasped. They had expected the human to fall in seconds. Instead, she was dancing. Growled in frustration and attacked faster. Her movements became a whirlwind of sharp edges and killing intent. But no matter how fast she moved, was always somewhere else. 1 minute passed, then 2. Had not thrown a single attack. She had only watched and moved and learned. She was reading like a book, memorizing every pattern, every habit, every weakness. Stand still and fight, screamed. Her attacks became wilder, less controlled. Saw the moment she had been waiting for. Threw a massive overhead strike with her 2 upper arms while her lower arms swept low. It was her strongest combination, meant to trap any opponent between high and low attacks. But had seen this pattern 3 times already. She knew exactly when the gap would appear. She moved inside's reach, too close for the bone blades to be effective. Her hands became blurs, striking nerve clusters that Tellurian anatomy shared with a dozen other species. Pressure points that she had studied in Earth's databases. Weaknesses that no Tellurian expected a human to know. 3 strikes to the neck. 2 strikes to the lower arms. 1 strike to the center of the chest. Her eyes went wide. Her arms stopped moving. Her legs collapsed beneath her. She fell to the arena floor, conscious but completely unable to move. Total time, 3 seconds. The arena was absolutely silent. 3,000 beings stared in disbelief at what they had just witnessed. Stood over, not even breathing hard. She knelt down and spoke quietly, so only could hear. You have 4 arms. I have 10,000 years of humans learning how to kill things bigger than us. She paused. But I would rather have a friend than a trophy. She held out her hand. Stared at it. Her body was already starting to recover, feeling returning to her limbs. She could refuse the hand. She could curse and spit and hate this human forever. But she had seen something in those 3 seconds. She had seen exactly how badly could have hurt her if she wanted to. Every one of those strikes had been controlled, measured, designed to disable without damage. The human could have killed her. Instead, she had shown mercy. Slowly with her lower right arm took his hand. The arena exploded with noise. Cheering, shouting, screaming. The betting boards crashed trying to process what had happened. Helped to her feet. For a moment, they stood face to face, 2 fighters who had tested each other and found something unexpected. Hal whispered, "How did you know those pressure points?" Smiled slightly. Earth is a death world. Everything there wants to kill us. So we learned to kill everything first, and then we wrote it all down and shared it with every generation that came after. She started walking toward the exit, watched her go. Human called out. Stopped and turned. Tomorrow will you teach me? The arena fell quiet again, waiting for the answer. Nodded once. Yes, but I teach everyone the same. No species ranked above another. Is that acceptable? Stood despite her body's lingering weakness. Yes, that is acceptable. Walked out of the crucible. Behind her, the galaxy's understanding of humanity began to change, 1 witness at a time. 6 months changed everything. Did not seek attention, but attention found her anyway. Cadets from every species began requesting help with their training. Word spread that the human woman could see weaknesses that others missed, could teach techniques that worked for any body type, and treated everyone with the same patient respect regardless of their species or rank. became her first student and eventually her first real friend at the academy. The Tellurian who once mocked humans now trained alongside them, learning that strength meant nothing without wisdom to guide it. She apologized publicly to every human cadet, just as she had promised, and found that the words did not taste as bitter as she expected. Watched his friend with pride and wonder. The quiet woman who had arrived on a transport ship with a single bag had become something larger than herself. She was proof that Earth's children could stand among the stars and be respected. On the day before graduation, a message arrived at a tablet. It was not from an instructor or a fellow cadet. It came from the academy commander himself. Report to the assembly hall. Your presence is requested. The assembly hall was the largest room in the academy. It could hold 5,000 beings and was used only for the most important ceremonies. When arrived, she found it filled to capacity. Every cadet, every instructor, every staff member had been gathered. She walked through the crowd, aware of thousands of eyes watching her. Some faces she recognized. Stood with the other human cadets now, her 4 arms crossed in a gesture of solidarity. Smiled at her from the medical corps section. Even Instructor was there, standing at attention near the front. At the center of the stage stood a being unlike any had seen before. He was ancient, his body a collection of crystalline structures that hummed with soft light. His name was, and he had been the academy commander for 300 years. He was old when the first human spacecraft left Earth's atmosphere. "Cadet of Earth," said. His voice was like music, each word carrying harmonics that resonated in the chest. "Please come forward." Walked to the center of the stage and stood before him. The assembly hall was completely silent. 6 months ago, continued, you arrived at this academy as an unknown. Your species was classified as weak, primitive, and unremarkable. You were placed in remedial training and expected to struggle. Holographic displays appeared around the hall, showing recordings of time at the academy. Her catching's kick, her defeat in the crucible, dozens of moments of her helping other cadets, teaching them, lifting them up. Instead, you demonstrated abilities that our scanners could not measure. You showed compassion to those who had mocked you. You taught skills freely to anyone who asked, regardless of species. You became not just a skilled warrior, but a leader. Turned to face the entire assembly. The Galactic Council has been watching this academy for centuries. We observe which species produce the best soldiers, the best leaders, the best allies. For generations, Earth has been ignored. Humans were tolerated but not respected. This ends today. He gestured, and the scanner displays throughout the hall updated simultaneously. New text appeared beside every human name in the system. Earthborn classification, Apex adaptive species. Threat assessment, extreme. Recommended approach, cooperation. The hall erupted in murmurs. This classification was reserved for only a handful of species in the entire galaxy. It meant that humans were no longer to be dismissed or underestimated. It meant that the galaxy finally saw what it had known all along. Furthermore, said, quieting the crowd with a wave of his crystalline hand, the Council has authorized me to offer you a position, cadet. We want you to become the lead combat instructor for this entire academy. Gasps echoed through the hall. Lead combat instructor was the highest teaching position available. It had never been offered to someone so young, let alone to a human. Looked out at the assembly. She saw standing with the human cadets, her purple skin bright with pride. She saw wiping tears from his eyes. She saw nodding slowly, his expression one of deep respect. I am honored, said, her voice carried clearly through the hall, and I accept with one condition. Tilted his crystalline head, name it. I do not teach people how to fight. I teach them how to survive. And I teach everyone the same way, no species ranked above another. Every cadet who enters my class will be equal, regardless of where they come from or what they look like. Can the Academy accept this? was silent for a moment. Then light pulsed through his crystalline body in what might have been laughter. "The Academy accepts your condition, lead instructor. Welcome to the staff." The hall exploded with applause. 5,000 beings cheered for a human from a death world who had proven that strength was not about size or speed or natural weapons. It was about patience, wisdom, and the courage to see others as equals. Later that night stood alone on the observation deck. The stars stretched out before her in endless patterns, each one a sun with its own planets, its own species, its own stories. Somewhere out there, impossibly far away, was a small blue planet called Earth. Footsteps approached, joined her at the window. "Big day," he said. "Yes." "How do you feel?" Considered the question, tired but satisfied. They stood in comfortable silence for a while, watching the stars. "Do you think they will ever truly understand us?" asked. "The galaxy, I mean. Will they ever really know what it means to be human?" Thought about the question. She thought about all the cadets she would teach in the years to come, all the species who would learn that humans were not weak or primitive or forgettable, all the minds that would change, one lesson at a time. "No," she said finally, "I do not think they will ever fully understand us, but that is okay." "Why?" "Because we do not fight to be understood. We fight to protect what we love. We fight because that is what humans have always done, since the first one of us picked up a stone and refused to be prey." She turned away from the window and started walking toward the exit. Then she paused and looked back at. "And if they ever come to Earth looking for trouble," she said, "they will learn why we are still here." Smiled. "You sound like a recruitment poster." Smiled too, a rare and genuine expression that softened her entire face. "Maybe, but I am also telling the truth." She walked out of the observation deck, leaving alone with the stars. In the morning, she would begin her new role. She would teach cadets from 100 different species how to survive, how to think, how to see the future in the movements of the present. And every one of them would learn the same lesson, that the galaxy was only beginning to understand. Never underestimate Earth. Never underestimate humanity. And never, ever forget what happens when you push a species that has spent 10,000 years learning how to survive against everything the universe can throw at them. The stars continued their ancient dance, indifferent to the small changes happening in one academy on one station in one corner of the galaxy. But changes they were, rippling outward like waves from a stone thrown into still water. Humanity had arrived among the stars, and they were just getting started.